Welcome back, everyone. I am Amy of AmyAstro, and I am so glad that you all came back to see me. And I have a confession to make. I am so sad. So sad. My heart is literally broken. I was planning on attending the NEAF conference in a few weeks. I had everything purchased and ready to go, and it was going to be my first time going, and I was so excited. And then it got canceled. I understand why it got canceled. I completely respect that decision, but I am still totally heartbroken over it. I was really looking forward to meeting you all. You know, I had several of you that said you would find me out there and say hi, and I was really looking forward to that. I was looking forward to meeting some vendors that I talk with frequently and, you know, basically put a face with the name so they knew who I was and everything. And I kind of secretly was hoping that maybe somebody wanted to sponsor me, you know, give me some cool toys to check out and show you guys, you know, what they're all about. But, you know, that's it. But that's not why you guys are here today, to hear my poor little sob story. I'll get over it, all right? But this week, we're going to finish our edit of the cloud data that we got from the Backyard Astro Imaging Club over there on Facebook. And last week we took it from a bunch of files and condensed them down into one single image that's been fully calibrated. And this week we're going to start with it needing to be automatic background extracted, and we're going to take it all the way to the finish line. So I think you're going to be really happy with how this image turned out. I was pleasantly surprised. It had a little bit of amp glow in it from the main image, but we completely calibrated that out like it never existed. It's really a great, sharp image. And it was a lot of fun because we got to test drive somebody else's camera and telescope and see how they work together and, you know, visually see the field of view and all that instead of just seeing some numbers and kind of guessing where things were. So I'm really excited about this image. So without further ado, let's get on the computer and start editing our image. Well, welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue processing our image that we had acquired from the Backyard Astro Imaging Club over on Facebook, and we're going to put the finishing touches on it in this video. So in the last video, we calibrated everything and brought it down to an individual stack, and we had run the automatic background extraction, but I'm going to back up just one step because I found an oops in that. So from this point here, we are completely stacked and drizzled and all that good stuff. We're going to start with the automatic background extractor. And what we're going to do different this time is last time I did division and I noticed that all my color disappeared out of my galaxy and I was not real happy with that. So this time we're going to go with subtraction, which is basically the light pollutants and all that stuff that we're going to get rid of. I'm going to discard my background model and I'm going to replace this image. So I'm going to say apply. Alright, so let's start working on our color calibrations and such. Now let's neutralize our background first. So what I want to do is create a small preview window somewhere in the background that does not contain any stars. Let's zoom out and let's create a second preview box of just our galaxy area. And let's go over here to background neutralization. And let's pick a file here. Let's go to previews and grab our first one, which is of our background, and run it. All right, not a whole lot shifted there. And let's go to our color calibration. And let's go back to our previews only. And let's select the second one, which is our white reference. I'm going to uncheck the structure detection, mainly because this is not a nebula with a whole lot going on. This is a galaxy. It's in a very specific area. So let's go ahead and grab our reference image which will be number 1, and say OK. So our white reference is our galaxy, our background reference is our preview number 1 of the background, and let's go ahead and apply it. Alright, so let's go ahead and select our white reference, which will be the preview box number 2, which is our galaxy. Grab that, say OK. And let's grab our background reference, which will be our preview number 1, and say OK. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this structure detection. So we don't have a whole lot of nebulosity here, and we're not white balancing on the stars itself. We're just going to white balance on this portion. And let's say apply. Let's move this out of the way and give it a nice fresh stretch. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to delete all these previews because we no longer need them. Let's go ahead and take our RGB working space right now and choose it on that image, and we'll bring it all up to 1 and apply it globally and minimize that step. All right, now we need to work on some of this noise, and to do that we're going to have to create ourselves a mask, and we will use the channel extraction, and let's use the CIE-LAB so I can get just the luminance channel of this image. Let's run it, and this should give us a monochrome image of our luminance channel. Let's give it a stretch and look at it. All right, that looks pretty good, but because this is a linear image, it would not make a very good mask because it would only mask out the stars or the background. So what I need to do is give it a permanent stretch to a nonlinear state, and we're going to do that with the screen transfer function and the histogram transformation. Let's start with the little radioactive button here, and we have a stretch. Grab the new instance and drag and drop it over here on the histogram transformation, okay? And let's reset the screen transfer function and move it out of the way here. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our luminous channel so we can see what the stretch looks like, and we'll turn on our live view. And that's what the stretch would look like, the same thing as we did in the screen transfer function. I like it, so let's go ahead and apply it. And right now the reason the screen went white is because it has a double stretch on it. So I'm going to turn off the live preview, minimize this, and close out this real-time preview window. And that leaves me with a permanently stretched luminance channel. Now we're going to make this into our mask that goes on top of our other image. So if you hover over the identifier till it becomes an arrow, click, hold, drag, and then bring it over here, and you see we've got the 2 squares, and let go. It is now a mask on this image. But what it's doing right now is it is protecting everything that's red. It is protecting my background, and my background is where my noise is. So I need to invert this mask, and we'll go up here to mask, invert. There we go. So now the background noise is selected, the galaxy is protected, and that's exactly what we want to do for this next step. So we need to go over here to multi-scale linear transform, and we're going to play with the noise reduction. All right, let's come up with a recipe here for these numbers. The first one that we want to do, we're going to do the threshold of 4 with our amount of 0.5, and we're going to run 3 iterations of this. Let's go to layer number 2 and check it. Let's take this down to 2. I'm just typing in the number 2, 0.5, and we're going to run this 2 times. Let's go to layer number 3, noise reduction. Let's do this 2 times. Now let's do this 1 time. Let's go to 0.5, and we will run this twice. And layer number 4, noise reduction. Let's have this at 0.5 and 0.5 and 1 time. And we're going to run this to the RGB component of this image. So let's say run. All right, now that that's done running, let's minimize this. I'm going to Control K just to hide this mask right now. And let's zoom in and take a quick peek at what it just did. All right, I'm zoomed in. Let's undo what we just did, and that's our before picture. And let's redo it, and that's our after. So it did a pretty good job removing some of our noise. Now we need to remove our mask. So mask, remove, and let's find that file here because we no longer need it. There it is. And I'm going to delete that luminance channel. Let's start fresh here. Okay, now I need to remove this from being linear, and I need to convert it to being non-linear. So I'm going to turn off the stretch. I'm going to show you how to do that. Same concept as we did for our luminance channel. Let's go to our screen transfer. Let's go to our histogram. All right, and let's do a little rinse and repeat here. Get the radioactive button. And it gave a pretty mean stretch there, but I'm going to show you, we're going to back it down a little bit. Let's grab a new instance, drag and drop it over here to the histogram transformation. All right, did it make it there? Let's try that again. New instance, drag and drop it. Here we go. And let's give this a reset and minimize that out. There we go. And let's turn on our live view and see what this stretch looks like. Now, to me, that stretch is a bit obnoxious. I think it's really just too much. So I'm going to take and change my view to 100 because I want to see, whoops, use the mouse wheel here, to see where this curve really is. Let's put our image there. So this is my curve, and this is where it put the stretch at for me. And if I change the y-axis some, I can see where the curve starts. This is my dark, this is my mid-tone, and my light is typically all the way down here at the end, okay? So with me stretching this out more, I can get more sensitivity in how I adjust things. All right, let's zoom in here. I'm going to take the dark and back it off some. I feel like it's just going too far, and let's do the mid-tone and let's move it up some. There we go. And I can still see some of these outer tendrils on here, which is really nice. And remember, we're still in live view, so it's now got a double stretch, which is way too much. Let's turn live view off and turn off the real-time preview window and minimize our histogram transformation. Now this is a non-linear image. And right now I'm going to go ahead and give myself a save as, so I have a place to start back later if I should need to. And I'm just going to say NL for non-linear and save it. Now we're going to address some more of our noise reduction. And it seems like I've got some hot pixels here that I didn't pick up in the cosmetic correction in here, but that's okay. All right, we're going to work on more noise reduction. And to do this, we're going to once more subtract out our luminance channel. We will do the channel extraction. It remembers last time, luminance, and let's go ahead and run it. And because our image is nonlinear, so is our mask that we're creating. But this mask needs to be punched up just a little bit, needs to be a little bit brighter. So let's go ahead to our histogram transformation, give it a reset, and we will change this to our luminance channel version so we can see where everything is. Because it's nonlinear, we can go back to 1 to 1, which is our X and our Y. And I want to, right here, auto clip the shadows. I'll tell you what, let's turn the live view on so we can see it happen as it happens. I'm going to auto clip the shadows. You see it gets darker. And right here, I'm going to auto clip the highlights. Okay, now it's punched up. That is going to be our mask. Let's go ahead and apply this. Turn off and minimize. Oops, I think I just, okay. And let's close the real-time preview. So this is my mask. So once again, when it becomes an arrow, drag, Bring it over here when it gets to double squares and drop, and we now have a mask. And I'm going to do a Control K on my actual image so you can see where the mask is. Let's zoom out. Now right now this mask is again protecting the background, and it's going to have me modify what's in the galaxy. That's not what I want. I'm going after noise reduction. So I need to take my mask and invert it. So now my galaxy is protected and the background is selected. And that's what I need. Okay, I'm going to turn off the mask just so you don't see it. And let's zoom in on our background area. And right now, really, the noise does not look that bad, but we're going to run it through one more time. Multi-scale linear transformation. These are the same settings we had last time, but let's tone it down just a little bit. Let's take this to a threshold of 3, and let's only run it 2 times. This one will remain the same. This one will drop it down to 1 iteration, and this one will stay the same. Easy. All right, and let's run it. And remember where it was before, and we will take a look at it after. All right, you can see that it has definitely got more butter added to it. We did an undo. You can see it. Let's zoom in. That's undo. And let's redo it. Much smoother. Very nice. All right, now I'm going to show you. My mask is still on, and while my mask is still on, I'm going to do this last noise reduction bit. That's the ACDNR. All right, we're going to take the standard deviation up to about 2, and we're going to drop the amount down to 0.75, and Command K and turn that off so we can see what's going on here. Let's zoom in, and let's run it. What I like about this one is I can still see some of these little pink veins in here, and I'm hoping we can make those pop out in just a minute. All right, that's done running. Let's do an undo real quick. And very, very subtle. Let's zoom in so we can see just how subtle it is. There's undo, and let's redo it just ever so slightly. But look what it just did. Remember those little blue pixels that I said were left over? They're probably hot pixels that I didn't correct out. They just gone away. Excellent. Let's minimize this guy. I'm going to zoom all the way out. And I am going to remove this mask. I no longer need it. And it is gone. Now let's find the mask. There it is on the background. I no longer need it. So let's delete it and keep our work area nice and clean. So here is my image, freshly denoised. It looks much nicer. Now we can go ahead and adjust our black point just a little bit more. And we're going to do that with our histogram. Let's go ahead to my image so you can see where the curve is and where's my black point. It's all the way down. So if I turn on the live view so we can watch it happen, you can take the black point and you can start shifting it up until it gets close to, I'm going to make this bigger so we can see it. Now let's go ahead and bump that up to 50 and see what it does. I want to see where that curve starts. And you see it's about right there, and it's really, let's bump that up even more. You can see where everything tapers off at the midpoint, but I'm just going to take this and I'm going to start moving it over. And I'm adjusting the black point, but I don't want to lose those tendrils. All right, and you notice when I move this, my midpoint also moves. But if I move my midpoint, it will move independently. So really you just tape this until you are happy with this. But the whole goal is to work with, let's give this a reset. Start over again. I wasn't happy with how that was going. There we go, that looks a little bit better. I'm going to take the midpoint down just a little bit. All right, so let's see before and after. Looks good. Let's apply it. And let's go ahead and minimize the histogram, turn off the real-time preview, and there's the image that I'm going to start with. So now let's go ahead and start separating our galaxy from the background so we can start working on the background portion of this image only. And we're going to do that with a mask. And we're going to start with using under Processes, Mask Generation, Arrange Mask. And let's turn on the live view of this one. Now the goal is to turn the background black and keep the interesting stuff white. Now also part of that interesting stuff is our tendrils, so we have to be very careful not to lose those by going too crazy, because now we've got some harsh lines and we don't have all that good stuff that we had before. So I like to back this down, and I try not to get too much of the stars, but you see what right here? I don't want to lose this little leg or this little leg or this big swoosh going on in here. So I'm going to go just about right there. I'm going to make the edges fuzzy because I don't want any harsh lines. And I'm going to smooth this out just a touch. There we go. So if I make that fuzzy, now I can back down here some. I just want to make sure that I include this. Now I'm also including a lot of this other stuff out here, but I think we can tune some of that out later. And this is just a play process. Just see what you like. I think I'm going to stop right there. And let's add more blur factor to the edges so it's a nice soft gradient. Because we don't want any harsh lines, because that'll just be like pow right in the face. Let's go ahead and run this. Minimize that, and now I have a mask right there. Now what am I going to do with this mask? Well, like all the other masks, I'm going to grab the identifier, drag, drop, wait for the double squares, and let go. And save this range mask for later because we will use it again. All right, and once again, I am protecting my background and I am working on my galaxy. Not what I want to work on my background this time. So go back to Mask, highlight my image first, that helps. Mask, invert the mask. All right, you guys getting the hang of this masks thing of what we're trying to accomplish? All right, I'm going to do a Command K or Control K and just turn it off so I don't see it, but it's still there. And now we're going to work on the saturation point of the colors that are hiding in this background. They're very subtle, but I definitely see some green going on. I could use the SCNR and work on it there, but I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to just neutralize the color back there. And we'll do that with the multi-scale linear transformation. Let's go ahead and bump it up to 8 layers. And we're going to play with this whole bias number. Let's start at layer number 5 and grab the pointer here, drag it down to 1. This will desaturate. Now, if I had a positive number, it would saturate. But the saturation is, you have to be very careful with that number. So now that I have the desaturation set up, and I want to do that to the chromiance portion of this image. So we'll choose that, and let's apply it. And we'll watch this background be not so green, hopefully, and it'll be just a little bit more black or gray. There, that neutralized it really nicely. Let's do a before, and I'll zoom in a little more so you can you see those green spots? And let's do an after. There we go, that neutralized it some. Let's do a before. It's subtle, and let's do an after. All right, let's zoom all the way out. That looks really sharp. I'm pleased with that so far. All right, with our mask still active, you can see I still have it going on here, and I am protecting my stars and my galaxy. Let's go back to our histogram transformation. Let's give it a reset, and let's play with our midpoint sum. Let me turn on the live view so you can see what's going on. All right, I'm going to grab the midpoint, and let's bump it up just a little bit. Now, as you see, I'm making the background darker, but everything else is not. But this is why I wanted to do some feathering on these edges here. You can see these really harsh lines. I'm going to do a reset. And this one, you just do subtle. I mean, not much at all. Let's see, let's turn it off, turn it on. Let's bump it up just a little bit more. I don't want defined lines between the background and the galaxy because it will really start looking bad. Let's bump it down just a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave it. I moved the midpoint over just a touch. I moved the black over just a touch. This is all personal preference, and yeah, just whatever you like, go for it. I'm going to hit apply. All right, so let's go ahead and minimize that guy and close out the real-time preview window. And this is my image so far. Pretty sharp. I'm going to zoom in here. I just want to look at those edges and make sure I didn't get too carried away. I mean, you can see the line between the background and the galaxy some, but I don't think it's enough that it's going to be too distracting on us. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take our mask and let's remove it, but do not delete it. We need that mask later, okay? That's why I've got it stuffed over here in the bottom corner. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a little bit of a curve adjustment. Curves transformation. Let's turn on the live view. There we go. Let's give ourselves 2 points on the line. And what I want to do is I'm going to take the highlights and bring it up some. You can see how it's power punching all that white stuff there. Just be gentle, just a little bit off of the main center line, and then take the darks, and you can see the darks go really, really to the dark side there. So you just want to bring it down just a little bit. Very subtle, and I'll power off and on, and then you just kind of adjust this to where you like it. There you go. A little too dark. All right, I'm happy with that so far, so let's go ahead and apply it. Let's give it a reset and minimize it and turn off the real-time preview. And there's my image. Now I need to go ahead and make myself a mask, and let's talk about working with the stars. And to create a mask, we're going to do it in a two-step process. We're going to start with our HDR multi-scale transformation, and I'm going to take the layers down to 3. All right, and we're going to do iterations of 2, and that's it. Now this is going to produce a very muddy image, and that's what we want. We're just making ourselves a mask, and the goal of the mask is to get our stars and not the really cool galaxy stuff. And that did a pretty good job of just giving us the stars. Next, we're going to go up here to Process, Mask Generation, and grab ourselves Star Mask. All right, so we're going to change our noise threshold up to about 0.2, our scale to 6. We're going to drop our large scale down to 0, small scale down to 0, and leave this at 2. And we'll drop our midtones down to 0.01 and apply it. All right, so this is the start of our star mask. Let's go ahead and let's see. What I just realized is I failed to make a copy of this image here, so I need this because this is my actual image, but that's okay. We can hit undo because we no longer need that, and there's my image back safe and sound. So here is the start of my mask, and what I need to do is I need to punch up these star sums so they'll make a really good mask. So let's do that with histogram transformation. We will change this to star mask so we can see what's going on. Turn on our live view, and we'll take this midpoint here and let's move it over. There we go. And you can see the stars are getting brighter. It's a little bit slow here. The computer's processing pretty good right now. All right, so I want to move this over, so let's bump this down to 1 so we can actually see where my curve is going. You can see how the curve is moving up. You want to stop it just before it looks like you're actually selecting the noise because we don't want that. So let's go to about right there and apply. Let's go ahead and minimize and close out our preview window. And there is our star mask. Okay, so what we're going to do with this star mask is we're going to do ourselves a pixel math with that and our range mask. And to do that, we'll go over here to pixel math. And we will open up the expression editor, and under the RGB section, we will take the range mask, space, subtract out, space, the star mask, and say OK. And our destination is going to be create a new image, and it's going to be a grayscale image, and run. And this is subtracting the two images out from each other to give us a new mask possibility. All right, so what I want to work with is strictly, I want to keep my galaxy, and I'm going to keep these other star pieces here. Let's look at our main. Looks like another mini galaxy there. And, oops. And we've got some galaxy right here I want to keep. And that other piece up here appears to be just a star, so it could be a galaxy, not real sure. But what I need to do is I need to delete out all of these donuts and turn them all black and leave the white stuff alone. Now we're going to do that with using, I'm going to show you how to do this in PixInsight. That's using Process, Painting, Clone Stamp. And the first thing you do with Clone Stamp is hit Reset. And I'm going to take my radius and move it up to about 25 for right now. Now we need to create a reference point. The reference point is going to be wherever it's black on the image. So you'll use your Command key and click the black reference point and stretch out to where you see some white, and you'll click, and wherever that X is what's going to be cloned over top. And you can see I'm making myself a nice black path here. And this will take some time to accomplish. You can make your radius bigger if you like. Move it up to 50. And it just copies more. But wherever this black X is, or the white X, it's going to clone it. So you just use your Command key, grab yourself a new reference, and start wiping out over here. This takes a little bit of time. So I will continue doing this whole image, and we'll stop the recording, and I'll be back when I'm finished. All right, now that we've got our images all cleaned up here, where it's just our galaxy and a couple other little small galaxies showing, we're going to use this as our mask on our image. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to grab it with an arrow, drop it over here on this sidebar until it becomes two squares, let go. And now it is a mask on this image, and I'll show it with the Control K. This time, I do want to modify what's in the galaxy area, not what's on the background, so I do not invert this image. Let's see, I'm going to do a Control K and turn it off so it's not so distracting. Let's play with some saturation, and let's do that with our multi-scale linear transformation. And remember last time we had these 4 layers and they desaturated the background. Now we're going to modify them so that they actually saturate what's there. But we need to be very careful, so I'm going to start with some subtle numbers. We'll do a 0.1 and a 0.1 there. And let's bump this up to a, whoops, it's still 0.1. And change this one to 0.15 and 0.15. And we're still on the chromiance portion of this image, and we will say apply. Remember, if we don't like it, we just undo it. All right, that actually looks really good. Let me do an undo just so you can see where it started. There's before, we can redo, and there's after. That looks nice. We can work with that. All right, we're going to close this out for right now. And let's leave this mask intact. And now we can do some more saturation. It's a little bit more specific, not all over. Let's do a live view. And let's put some points along this grid. And what would we like to pump up? Let's see if we can bring up the reds just a little bit. And let's bring up the blues a little bit. We just gotta be careful not to go too much. All right, let's turn it off and turn it on and compare it. I'm gonna bring it up over here with the red some. There you go. I'm gonna leave it right there and hit apply. Now let's minimize this. And again, with our mask still on, let's start doing the HDR multi-scale transformation. Let's bring out some of that small structure detail. Let's go back to iterations of 1, and I'm going to bump this up to 7 layers. We'll do it to the lightness. We'll do it to the lightness mask, and let's run and see if this makes us happy. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. Now, if we increase this number, we actually make everything brighter. If we decrease it, we're going to make the detail darker. We can do an undo one time and just compare that. Let's bump this up to 9 and let's run it and just compare it. There you go. Now you can see that this version is much brighter, and I didn't really want it to be that bright, so I'm going to hit undo. And let's find a happy medium. Let's bump it down to 8 and run it one more. That looks good, but I think I'm going to go back to 7. I think ultimately that's the one that made me the happiest. And let's run it one more time. This is a guessing game. You just keep running things until you see something that you like. There you go. I'm going to work with this one. All right, so now let's work with our curves transformation. With our mask still on, I'm going to add 2 little points here. Turn live view on so we can see what we're doing. And take the highlights and bump it up, and you see it makes it really bright. But let's just be subtle. And I'm going to take the dark and bring it down just a little bit. Toggle it off and on. There we go, and say OK. Let's reset it. Now the other thing we can do here is also play with the saturation if we want. Put a point on the curve. You can drag it up and you can see that the saturation goes crazy. Or you can bring it up just a touch if you want it a little bit more to show up. Let's turn it off. Let's turn it on. That looks good. And let's apply it. All right, let's minimize this and turn off the live preview. That's looking really good. All right, so let's go ahead and remove our mask. And let's do one last thing and see if we can boost up some of these dark lanes in here. Let's go to the script, utilities, script, utilities, and let's do a dark structure enhance. And we will run this as the defaults and say OK. All right, the last thing we're going to work on is boosting up some of the star color here. And let's do that by applying our mask to our image, which will be that star mask that we created earlier. It's range mask. Let's find the stars. It's hidden back here in the background. There it is. There's our star mask. Let's bring it over here so we can get to it. There he is. All right. And grab them and drop them over here on this image. Let's do Control K and take a look at that. All right, so now all of our stars are selected. The background is not. That's what we want. And let's boost the color of that. And let's do that under Curves Transformation with our Saturation button. All right, let's turn the live view on so we can watch it as it happens. And let's just boost our color up. Now just keep an eye so they don't go too crazy on you. But you can see some of those colors are really starting to pop out and look nice. I'll bring it down just a little bit. There, I like that. Let's let it apply. And this is, let's close that live preview there. It's a full zoom. And this is where I would leave this image. It's turned out very nice. It's got some great colors in it. We've got some dark lanes and details. We got some blues and pinks. And we even have this little bonus area over here of that little guy. And we have another little galaxy hiding over here on the edge. So this is a very nice image. Well, this was a fun exercise, processing someone else's data and experimenting. It was like test driving another camera and telescope combo. If you're interested in trying this data along with me, go to the Facebook group, the Backyard Astro Imaging Club, and ask to join. From there, you have access to all kinds of cool stuff. Data to process, raffles of cool stuff, advice, how-to, moral support. You know, this hobby is not for the faint at heart. Don't forget to subscribe and select the alert bell so you know when I upload new Astro-related material. Like and share with all your Astro friends. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all next week with a new video. Clear skies, y'all. But this week, I'll admit it, I had a sneeze. Oh my goodness.